Okay, we will call the regular council meeting to order for Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. As we gather, we are reminded that the town of Bonnyville is situated on Treaty 6 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and is the traditional homeland and home to First Nation and Métis people today. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nation, Métis, and all First People of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our community. Before us, we have an agenda. Are there any additions or deletions?
Nothing from administration, Your Worship.
All right. Look to adopt the agenda as presented then, please. Councillor Blanchette?
I'll move adoption of the agenda as presented, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. Next, we have council meeting minutes from June 11th, 2024. Are there any changes to these minutes as they're presented? Okay, look for a motion to accept them, please. Councillor McAvoy?
I will move adoption of the minutes as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay. First up, we have a delegation from the Bonnyville Wellness Coalition, Madame Danielle Larson and Nicole Labrie. Please, if you would join us up front. There's a mic on the table. If you don't mind using the mic, please, as you speak into it. Welcome. Yes, please. So as I understand, you have a presentation. Yes. We'll give you the opportunity to go through the presentation and then allow for questions after.
Yeah, sounds great.
Perfect. All right.
Can you
Turn
hear
the
us both okay here?
You might need to move it in between the two of you. Yeah, just move it there.
Okay.
Excellent, thanks.
All
The
right.
floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. All right, welcome, and thank you for having the Bonnyville Wellness Coalition present today. Margaret Mead once said, "One of the things I have learned is that very great change starts from small conversations amongst people who care." The Bonnyville Wellness Coalition reflects a small group of people who care and has done a great job promoting wellness. Today, we would like to give a brief update as to what we've accomplished and where we are headed. Our hope is that we can explore opportunities to collaborate, support, and build healthier communities together.
All right. So just to introduce ourselves, the Bonnyville Wellness Coalition was reignited in 2016 through a grant from Alberta Health Services from the Addiction Prevention Unit. And then in 2019, we applied for the Alberta, Action for Healthy Communities initiative through AHS. We were one of 64 communities who applied, and we were one of 21 rural communities who were accepted into the program. The AHCI promotes a tried and true approach to working together that supports communities to determine their own path to wellness.
All right, so the Alberta Healthy Communities Initiative supports communities to create, build, and build on multi-sectoral teams that will assess local environments, set priorities, develop, implement, and evaluate action plans for sustainable health outcomes. The AHC initiative builds on learning from 16 rural communities that took part in the pilot project, the Comprehensive Community Cancer Prevention Pilot Project from 2015 to 2019. And that was also led by the Alberta Cancer Prevention Legacy Fund, which was through Alberta Health Services. The current AHC initiative supported another 21 rural communities with populations of less than or equal to 15,000, beginning in 2019 and until 2022.
All right. So as you can see on the following slide, please. 1 in 2 Albertans will likely develop cancer in their lifetime, and up to 40% of cancers are caused by factors that we have control over changing. So as we learned through our time with AHS working in the Wellness Coalition, as we learned more, our goal became focusing on community-led cancer prevention strategies. We focused on modifiable risk factors such as alcohol and tobacco reduction, reducing exposure to UV rays, and we also wanted to increase access to healthy food and physical activities that were available and affordable to everyone. Making changes in these areas shows significant return both financially and in health savings. As Benjamin Franklin once said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
All right, yeah, great. Next slide. So that's good there. Imagine a place where everyone has a home, meaningful work, and access to affordable, healthy food, safe and welcoming places to be active and feelings of connections to others. So a healthy community is like a level table where everyone has fair access to the essential resources that shape health. Supportive relationships, affordable housing, decent work, opportunities and recreation, and policies that reduce and eliminate harm. So this is kind of the foundation for what the Bonneville Wellness Coalition has done their work.
So to get us started, we used the Community Capacity Assessment tool as seen on your screen. And the CCAT is a way of reflecting on and asking questions about what our community already has in place. It helped us look at engaging partners and leveraging the skills, resources, and knowledge that already exists to create a shared vision. A strong team and community that builds on these is well on their way to achieving long-term sustainable outcomes.
All right. We examine all these areas using a comprehensive approach. This is a process we work through. The 5 steps are fluid and flexible, and the approach is meant to adapt to each community's context. Therefore, the steps may not occur in exact sequence. Some may occur simultaneously or flow back and forth. Engage and create connections is in the center because it happens throughout the entire process.
All right. So this is a bit of a snapshot of the survey results for that, a survey that was sent out in 2021. So as you can see, the respondents were heavily invested in improving access to walking trails in our community, especially those along Jesse Lake. They were also interested in accessing things like cooking classes and healthier food options. So as you can see, almost everyone who responded, they do use the existing trails in the community, which is really great. And then they were also interested in learning about dietary restrictions and how to cook and meal plan on a budget. And the next slide also shows that some organizations who are involved in the Wellness Coalition performed walking trail audits on our existing trails. So this one was done by the youth advisory from the Hive. We asked our local groups to perform these trail audits so that we could experience the areas most pinpointed in our survey for ourselves to see how we could possibly become involved in improving them.
Okay, so that was kind of the whole data that came from the AHCI, kind of the process that we went through. And now we have some results and some projects that we'd like to just kind of demonstrate. So as a result of the data and community engagement opportunities over the past 3 years, the Bonneville Wellness Coalition has launched a physical activity equipment lending library at the municipal library in partnership with the town of Bonneville, so with thanks to you guys, a physical fitness trail that was erected through the installment of physical fitness signage along Jesse Lake for no-cost physical fitness exercise and stretches available to the community and the members year-round. In addition, printed well-being signs that agencies, workplaces, and schools can post publicly. In partnership with LICA, we created a Let Us Grow art initiative where community groups painted wood and vegetables. I believe some of you council members did as well, and added positive messaging to be placed along the community gardens, which we're planning to install this summer. We've built partnerships with Sobeys to offer an end aisle recipe card that are going to be displayed intermittently throughout the coming years, I think, and seasons, with all the items that you need to make a dish in one simple space. In the winter, we developed wellness kits to distribute to our vulnerable community members that we distributed to community agencies, including the Bonneville Regional Fire Authority. And we have invited a member of town council to sit on our coalition. So thank you for that. She has provided us with great insight.
Yes. And every report that we've spoken about today is available. If you are interested in taking a closer look at that data, we can definitely send that over.
All right, so from here, the Bodyville Wellness Coalition remains committed to seeking out opportunities to improving wellness in our community through grants and engaging community members. I just wanted to, I guess, say now like why we're here, okay? So all of this is kind of a backup. Why are we here today? So in looking and knowing over the past, I guess, I'm not sure when it came out, but your vision action plan for the town of Bonnyville, your priority areas are the economic growth, recreation and wellness, communication strategy, value-added service, and service excellence. So recreation and wellness is like number 2 there, and we are a wellness coalition. And we just wanted to give you like a hello, we're here. We'd love to work together. I really liked our fitness signage along Jesse Lake. I think that was a great partnership opportunity. And we are looking forward to doing new ones.
Yes.
Do this one?
So in the future, when you are thinking of the Jesse Lake Recreation Plan, how can we partner with you with existing programs or potentially new ones? And just, we hope that you think about us when you think of future opportunities, because we're here, we're happy to help, and we are always looking for grants for ourselves that we can bring forward to the community.
Yeah. Just a few grant opportunities that could, like, we just kind of highlighted a few. Blue Cross Built Together grant is one of them, and then the Canadian Dermatology Association has a shade structure grant program. So those are things that we've kind of considered in the past with some of our past projects, but just things that we could look forward to doing in the future. So yeah, not a huge ask, just think of us, and
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for the presentation. That was amazing. I'll open it up to council to see if anybody has any questions or comments in regards to the presentation or the Wellness Coalition. No? I really appreciate that you took the initiative to come and just talk to us more about the Wellness Coalition, because as you mentioned, we're doing the Jesse Lake Vision Plan, and I really can see some of the synergies. Just looking at some of the data that you presented, even talking about better lighting around the trail, you know, we did that, you know, but maybe there's more information in some of those reports that we could use for that vision. So I think you have a lot of information that might come in handy, and there might be some opportunities to collaborate, especially if you have access to funding for doing some of those projects. So
Right.
I think we're in a good position of having a counselor on your committee so that that information can be brought back to the town and to the council. So, yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, next we're going into public hearing. If I can get a motion to move into public hearing, please. Councillor Kushner?
I give you the motion to proceed with the public hearing for bylaw amendment 1567-24.
Okay, thanks. All in favor? That's carried. All right, first up, land use amendment bylaw. Who's taking care of that one?
I will, Your Worship. Pursuant to the Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, CM 26, a public hearing is required to be held for amendments to the bylaw. Amending bylaw 1567-24 has been advertised in accordance with the legislation, and at the time of the creation of this document, we've had no feedback on this amendment. The applicant is wanting to rezone the property so they're able to proceed in the future. The applicant is wanting this property rezoned so they may be able to proceed with future development, and the zoning change from urban reserve to institutional will need to be completed prior to any development permit application. It's a recommendation that council proceed with the public hearing for bylaw amendment 1567-24.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, so I understand we've received feedback for and against, and there are people here this evening who'd like to present on both. So I will first start with the Friendship Center. If you're interested in coming up and doing a presentation, I'll ask for 1 or 2 spokespeople, please come forward. So if you can also just use the mic and just, yeah, thanks, Janet. Okay, so we will give you the floor, give you 5 minutes to do a quick presentation. Sure. That works for you? All right. We did have the presentation ahead of time as well, so we were able to go through it, but.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, we'll open the floor. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm Janet Gobert, and I brought my Director of Crisis Support, Cynthia Gamache, with me. She developed this presentation for you, so I will let her deal with that first, and then I will answer any questions.
Okay, we have 5 minutes. I'm going to go very fast. So we're here to discuss the shelter and transitional home. A little bit about us. We are a nonprofit, community-based organization dedicated to bridging the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people culturally, socially, economically, and recreationally by promoting wellness, communication, and understanding among all people. So in the last 2 years, we've worked hard to identify service gaps in our community, resulting in an increase of programs and services we offer to meet the needs of our community members. All of our support, services, and programs are free for anyone to access. We also provide this with informal partnerships with Alberta Health Services, so the Bonnyville Health Unit, Bonnyville FCSS and LFRN, Teams Alberta Employabilities, and Rupertson Institute Employment and Education. So how do we operate? All of our programs are grant funded. If we see a need in our community, the first step is finding a grant that will allow us to create and implement a program to fill that gap within our community for supports and services. Unfortunately, there is not a grant for everything. Certain programs currently do not have any grant funding and rely solely on community donations. These programs are our food bank, the Friends for Lunch program, community kitchen, our shower press program, and the feminine hygiene program. Each year, we host a fundraising gala to support programs without grant funding. Although this is our largest fundraising event, we also host smaller ones throughout the year with Bannock Burger barbecues and fundraising through our local schools. Notably, in recent years, due to the lack of provincial and federal grant opportunities, we have focused on our food insecurity programs as we continue to see the numbers of individuals and families accessing these programs rise at an alarming rate. We'll just touch on the men's shelter. So funding was available during COVID, allowed us to fill a gap in service for our vulnerable population for a small amount of time. The funding available was minimal and did not include funding to build, purchase, or operate a sustainable shelter long-term. Prior to COVID, funding and grants for projects like men's shelters and MATS programs were almost non-existent, and unfortunately, that's what we're seeing again today. So what did we learn from our men's shelter? The size and the layout of the shelter space was very limiting. Limited funding directly impacted programming available and engagement from our vulnerable population. Staffing needs to be increased to 24 hours and include an RN on site for immediate access to healthcare without accessing our overcrowded emergency rooms, offering advocacy, support, and minimizing the risk of added trauma. To make our vulnerable population and our neighborhood feel an increase in safety, 24-hour security is also needed. One of the biggest things was that we could not provide space for a larger vulnerable group that we are seeing, which is women and children fleeing abuse. So local RCMP stats that are directly from our detachment here. In 2022, our detachment was dispatched to 391 domestic calls, and in 2023, it was 371. Each month, approximately 15 local women and children fleeing abuse go back to their abuser because there are no beds available in Cold Lake, St. Paul, Lac La Biche, Lloydminster, or Edmonton shelters. And these are just the women and children that we're seeing at our agency. So how do we fill this gap in service? We build a women's shelter. The women's shelter will have 35 beds, including transportation to and from to get them to safety, a daycare, RN and LPN on site 24/7 to alleviate emergency room visits, including programming of mental health, crisis supports, employment strategies, elder support for adult and youth, danger assessments, advocacy, and court support. To make sure women and children in our area are getting the most from this program, we also are building a transitional home. The transitional home has another 30 beds, a daycare, access to an RN and LPN on site, and life skills programming, including budgeting, affordable housing, planning for the future, employment, training supports and advocacy, parenting programs, elder supports for adults and youth, and healthy relationship programming. So how do we keep everyone safe? We will have 24/7 security on site, including perimeter checks. Emergency response plan has been developed with the RCMP and will be implemented. Privacy fencing, as well as security foliage by the fence for added security and to increase response time by the RCMP. Perimeter lighting, 2 vestibules, secured access to the buildings, indoor and outdoor security systems and cameras with real-time video footage to assist RCMP-led investigations.
Thank you, Cynthia. That is your 5 minutes, and I do
Sorry.
appreciate you speaking on behalf of this bylaw.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
No problem.
That's everything. Okay. Now I understand there may be people who are here to speak against the rezoning. Are you here as a delegation? We're looking for one spokesperson, or a few people want to. We're not allowed to speak on our own? Yeah? Okay, okay, all right. Thanks, Janet. Yes, appreciate it. Okay. Sure. All right. Okay, and as the previous, you'll have 5 minutes. All
Okay.
right, thanks.
My name's Chantal Valley, and I'm just an adjacent landowner. And first of all, just thank you to the Friendship Center. I do think this is an important need in this community. My opposition is just because you're in the middle of a commercial zone. And so you're building this facility with 60 beds, 60 plus people, kids, families that are going to be there for some time. It's really not appropriate to be in the middle of a commercial zone. We already have issues with people walking on the roadways that in that area. It was worse when Duclos Hospital was there because there was more people living there. And so we're coming in and out of our parking lot with heavy trucks and equipment and trailers and in and out constantly. The whole place is lit up for security reasons, of course. But we just don't think, when I look around at your map, it's completely commercial people all around that zone. And so our ask is that this, it's not that it shouldn't happen in Bonnyville, it should happen in Bonnyville, but you're out in a commercial area, there's no sidewalk access, there's no access to services for these families. I don't know how long they're gonna be in this transitional housing, but coming from healthcare myself, I know that they would wanna have access to physicians and walking to the store, walking to the park, but like, where are they gonna do this here? It just seems inappropriate zoning for this facility. And I definitely have safety concerns with us coming in and out constantly with big, heavy equipment, trucks. As you know, there's 80, 100 pieces of equipment coming in and out of that yard every day, several times a day. So my concern is more just around the zoning, and if we're going to keep that commercial zone, it's all commercial on both sides, can we not just keep this commercial and try to stick to one zone for this type of, that's all I have. Otherwise, I think it's a great initiative, and I support it anywhere else, just not in the middle of a commercial zone where I have to worry about somebody getting run over.
Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else who's here to speak against? Carmen, please, if you can just, for the record, just provide your name, and then you also have 5 minutes to speak.
Bonjour, mon nom est Carmen Vincent Gibinville. A little bit different than Madame Vallée. I actually own the property of 4615, which is zone residential. But what Madame Vallée has just provided to us, I have so many concerns. I mean, there's children playing on the street here right now. Location, location, location. What this group is proposing, I uplift you. I thank you so much. It is needed, but it is probably not the best location. They need to get to their pharmacies. The people, the ladies there and their children need to go get groceries and stuff. It is not an appropriate, ideal location. Unless, I mean, if you want to add a taxi service, which is okay, I mean, if we want to add taxpayers' money to that. So I think we have to review the fact, and we have to have a really good idea. On rezoning also too, if we want to go institutional, this was an institutional location beforehand. And I really think that there needs to be studies on unmarked graves prior to anything being built. There's already been some soil testing on there. We know that was the old Duclos Hospital, and at one point in time, maybe we forgot about testing that. Also, to the fact, at one point in time, Duclos and Arms, there was a lot of transient people that we don't know what happened to them. So if this should go through, I would propose, and I would really strongly suggest that there be a study done on unmarked graves. Thank you very much.
Get my specs on.
If you can just identify yourself, yeah.
Shelley Dutart.
Thank you.
And our residence is right across the street from the proposed rezoning area. I just wanted to talk about, partly the rezoning being turned into the institutional area, and that with it being commercial again, a lot of the stuff that Chantel had said too. But ours is the only home that is remaining there. And I'm just kind of wondering what that will look like down, in the future, I guess. And if this is institutional, that's fine. But what can it become further down the road, I guess, too? We had some concerns with how it will affect our land value regarding resale or future development to our property. Have some similar concerns about the proposed project, although we do understand that there is a need for this type of facility, for sure. And we do wonder if it's, again, a feasible property, just due to the heavy commercial traffic of the area in the past few years, and there are no walkways along this busy road. I imagine, hopefully, this would be addressed if it all comes to be. Just if there's to be, increased foot traffic along there, example, women and children, worrying about that. Access to safe recreational areas, if that will be in the facility as well. Also, just wondering, what does the institutional transition district look like? And what is the transitional housing, what will that end up being? Look, I understand that it will be security and everything is that. I think that would be including fencing and security. But we're just wondering with regards to privacy and safety for everyone involved. Just kind of wanted to just state that we weren't really appreciate the way it was presented, as it was kind of already presented. We got the letter and then it was like, okay, this is kind of seeming like it was a done deal. And we were a little concerned that we didn't get to say anything, but I guess we get to say something now. I did want to just add that if it does proceed and everything, I wanted to address a concern that whatever development goes on the stated properties, that the present memorial to the Duclos Hospital would remain on site as it is, because there's already a named, historical site there. This is a noted Bonnyville historical site, and therefore should be respected as such. And we have lost a lot of history in our town already, so we just need to, respect that stuff. And I think that's basically what I have to say. So,
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and coming in.
okay, thank you.
All right, one last call from the floor speaking against or for. Okay. So through to administration, was there any other correspondence on this matter?
Other than what was received prior to the meeting this evening, Your Worship, there's no further correspondence.
Okay. Well, I want to thank all of those in attendance this evening who spoke for and against. Council will be debating this matter later on in the meeting. At this point in time, we will bring the public hearing to a close. If I can get a motion, please, to close public hearing. Councillor Schroen?
I so move we close public hearing.
All in favor? That's carried. All right, so now we are moving into subdivision authority. If I can get a motion to move in. Councillor McAvoy?
I will move us into subdivision and authority.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. All right. We will call the subdivision meeting to order. Before us, we have an agenda. Any additions to this agenda?
No, Your Worship.
Okay. Motion to accept the agenda then as presented.
I'll make the motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And then we have adoption of the meeting minutes from April 4th, 2024. Any changes? Councillor Langridge?
I'll move acceptance of the meeting minutes, Madam Mayor.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. All right. We have an application for subdivision. Who wants to take care of that?
I will be dealing with it again, Your Worship.
All right.
The town received an application for subdivision. The applicant would like to subdivide 2 lots into 1 lot so he could sell off the other the parties sectioning off. Do new properties, the property is currently zoned as a C3 highway commercial, and the new lot would be zoned the same as it is current, so it'd be 2 highway commercial lots. The evaluation process, we sent out all the adjacent landowner notifications and agencies, and we had no feedback against the proposed subdivision. It's recommendation from administration that the subdivision authority approve the subdivision application subject to the conditions on the listing.
All right, thank you. Any questions for administration? No? Okay, we are looking, oh, sorry, Councillor Johnson?
I would say it's pretty cut and dry. I don't see any issues. There was no objections. I know where the property is, had a look at it. I would be comfortable to make this motion if there's no other debate on it.
All right.
Okay, so I'll move that the subdivision authority approve the subdivision application subject to the 5 conditions.
All right, all in favor? That's carried. I'll get a motion to adjourn the subdivision. Councillor Langridge.
I'll give you that motion, Madam Mayor.
Sorry. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, first up, we've got bylaw number 1572-24. Who's taking care of that? Renee?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Bylaw number 1146-98, a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the RCMP Alberta Justice for the purpose of expanding authority to special constables employed by the town to include specific defined provisions under the Criminal Code of Canada is obsolete as the town no longer employs special constables. Administration recently reviewed bylaws with respect to bylaw enforcement and noted that bylaw 1146-98 is now obsolete as we employ a peace officer. All level 1 peace officers have the power to arrest under section 495 of the Criminal Code of Canada, but do not have the authority to investigate. As well, peace officers have the authority to deal with warrants for provincial offenses only and can provide a roadside suspension for impaired drivers. All other infractions are relayed to the RCMP. Administration is recommending that Council provide 3 readings to bylaw number 1572-24, a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 1146-98.
Thank you. Any questions? No? All right, just looking for a motion to, oh no, we got to do the 3 readings, sorry. Councillor Blanchette.
I will move first reading of bylaw 1572-24.
All in favor? Carried. Motion for second reading, please. Councillor McAvoy.
I will give you a motion to repeal second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Motion for final. What was it called again?
Madam Mayor, I will move us into third reading for bylaw number 1572-24.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And third and final reading, please. Councillor Johnson.
I'll provide for third and final reading. We get it out yet. For bylaw number 1572-24, bylaw to repeal bylaw number 1146-98.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next bylaw 1571-24, bylaw enforcement officer bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the June 18th Governance and Priorities Committee meeting, bylaw number 1571-24, the bylaw enforcement officer bylaw, was presented for review and comments. Recommendations from the committee have been included in this draft of the bylaw being presented this evening. The 2024 operating budget includes funds to contract the services of a bylaw enforcement officer to aid during the busy summer months. Upon review of our current bylaw, number 114397, it was noted that it had not been updated and requires amendments in order to contract out bylaw enforcement services. Section 556 of the MGA states that every council must, by bylaw, specify the powers and duties of bylaw enforcement officers and establish disciplinary procedures for misuse of power, including penalties and an appeal process applicable to misuse of power by bylaw enforcement officers. As bylaw number 114397 references outdated terminology and does not include the allowance of contracting out bylaw services, bylaw number 1571-24 has been drafted, which, if passed, will repeal bylaw number 114397. Administration is asking for all three readings of bylaw number 1571-24.
Any questions for administration?
Madam Mayor, just one. In this contractual agreement, I would just like to know if the schedules are going to be flexed between the current officer that we have and this one. Are they going to be, I know we're getting into the weeds on that, but we hear a lot of residents like, you know, are we going to have evenings, afternoons, instead of just like an 8 till 5?
Renee, do you want to handle that one? I think I know the answer, but I know she knows the answer.
Yes, yes, there will be schedules with, once we contract out the services, be different hours depending on what's happening in town. This will be this year for the summer months, we know for sure. Also with the agreement, there could be certain bylaws that are just dedicated strictly to the contracted bylaw enforcement officer, with our community peace officer handling a lot of the unsightlies and community standards bylaw issues.
Okay, thank you, administration. And if there's no other discussion, I will move on bylaw number 1571-24.
Okay, first reading. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Motion for second reading, please. Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I will give second reading, or motion for second reading for bylaw 1571-24.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Motion for third reading. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make the motion that we proceed to the third reading.
All in favor? Carried. And then third and final reading. Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will move third and final reading for bylaw 1571-24.
All in favor? Carried. All right, on to the next one. Amending of bylaw 1574-24, the Joint Assessment Review Board bylaw.
Thank you. At the June 18th Governance and Priorities meeting, administration presented the request from the MD to join their Joint Assessment Review Board. As we await the finalization and approvals of bylaws to create this joint board, which should be completed in the fall prior to the organizational meeting, our current bylaw number 1552-23 requires amendments. These amendments are a result of a review by Alberta Municipal Affairs and are contained in amending bylaw number 1574-24. Once the bylaws of the joint board with the MD Village of Glendon and Summer Village of Pelican Narrows have been approved, bylaw number 1552-23 and amending bylaw number 1574-24 will be repealed. Administration is recommending that Council provide all three readings to amending bylaw number 1574-24 a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1552-23.
Okay, thanks. Any questions? All right, here we go again. Somebody motion for first reading. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make that motion. I like that we're going to be working together with our municipal neighbors on this, so I'll make the motion to first reading for bylaw 1574-24 to amend bylaw number 1552-23.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, motion for second reading, please. Councillor Blanchett.
I'll move second reading, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion to proceed to third reading. Councillor Kushner.
I give the motion to proceed to third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion for third and final reading. Councillor Schroen.
I move the third and final reading to amend bylaw number 1574-24 by bylaw, oh, I lost it here, 1552-23, Joint Assessment Review Board bylaw.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Next, amending bylaw 1573-24 to amend bylaw 1553-23.
Thank you. As with the joint ARB bylaw, this is the joint SDAB bylaw, Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. While we await finalization of the joint bylaws with the MD, Summer Village, and Village of Glendon, we did require amendments to our current bylaw, and we ask that council provide all three readings to amending bylaw number 1573-24, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1553-23.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Who wants to provide first reading? Councillor McAvoy.
I will move that, I got to find this one in here again.
Wow. 7D.
That we give first reading to amending bylaw 1573-24, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1553-23, intermunicipal development and appeal board bylaw.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Motion for second reading, please. Councillor Kushner.
I will give you that motion for second reading.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion for third reading, please. Councillor Schroen.
I will move us into third reading.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion for third and final reading. Councillor Johnson.
I'll provide third and final reading. The council provide, or for amending bylaw number 1573-24 to amend bylaw number 1553-23.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okie dokie. Okay, next up, land use bylaw amendment 1567-24. Who wants to speak on this, please?
I'll be talking on again, Your Worship. The properties located at 4801 66th Street and 4805 66th Street are currently being sold to the Bonneville Friendship Center. Their intent is to build a women's shelter and a women's transitional housing facility on the subject lands. Administration is seeking a decision for second and third reading on bylaw 1567-24 in order to amend the land use bylaw 1447-16 for the rezoning of the lands from urban reserve to institutional district. Referral letters have been sent to adjacent landowners and agencies for rezoning requests. No written objections have been received as of the writing of this document. The options are approve the second and third reading of land use bylaw 1567-24 as presented to council, or deny the second and third reading for land use bylaw amendment 1567-24, and its recommendation administration that council proceed with second and third reading for land use amendment bylaw 1567-24.
Just to chip in with Joe's report, Your Worship, our staff recommendations and agendas are compiled up to a week before the council meeting. So as you would have seen tonight during the public hearing, we did actually have some people submit correspondence against the development, and that would have come in since the writing of the report. So just a little clarification. You've all seen that, and it's been added to your packages. So hope that helps.
All right, thank you. Any questions on this? Councillor McAvoy?
Yes, just a couple of questions through to staff. I just want to be sure. This, what we're dealing with here is simply the rezoning. It's got nothing to do with what
Correct.
could or
It's just
possibly.
rezoning. We have no application or anything in front of us for any proposed development.
Okay, and the second question I have for you is, do you know when this land was zoned urban reserve? Because it must have been institutional prior to.
No, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can find out if need be.
Again, just to chip in, your worship, there's a very good chance that, and I don't know that I can find paperwork going back far enough, but there's a very good chance that the original facility on that property actually predated the need for rezoning and bylaws. So there may be no record of any original institutional zoning, but we can certainly look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Langridge?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of questions through to administration. So was administration previously engaged in conversations to help this group look for potential areas for this transitional housing and women's shelter?
Yes, they had come to us. We had pointed out a number of different locations for them to pursue.
Okay, and again, I thank you, Councillor McAvoy, for pointing out that we're just dealing with the rezoning purpose, but my fear is if we go ahead and rezone something but are opposed to additional building permits following, we could be putting at risk a local group, not-for-profit group, to go ahead through this purchase. So I understand obviously the need for this program. We've supported the men's shelter for many years previous to this. My only concern is exactly that of some of the landowners, is the logistics of it all. And that's if we're putting a place where we could see 60 beds with women and children in the middle of an industrial land, and I've been opposed in the past to piecemealing rezoning permits all over because it's what the applicant's looking for, instead of a well thought out process of why are we putting it here? Does it make sense fully to rezone that or not? So I obviously do have some concerns, but yeah, just my opinion.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So through to administration, they currently do not own this land. We're talking about the Native Friendship Center.
As far as I know, they don't.
Okay. So that's their plan moving forward, would be something like this. But they want it rezoned before they would buy it.
I don't know how the deals with the landowners work.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, I'll just echo Councillor Langridge. I'm kind of in agreement with that, like well thought out plans going ahead, how we're zoning things, where we're putting things. I know that's a strange area of town because that really was the original town site before the railroad came in, from what I understand or reading the history. So it's been kind of piecemealed from day one. But, it's definitely something needed, and I'm sure they've thought of all the logistics behind it to just, to make sure everything fits in that area. So that's just my concern of it.
Councillor Schroen?
I echo my two fellow councillors as well. The other area, I was just going to say that if we were to proceed with it, I wouldn't want to do a second and third reading tonight with having two sides to this story, without perhaps maybe going back to the Friendship Center and see if there would be a secondary location. Like I said, it's a need in our community, that's for sure. But the industrial and just for the kids in that area, like, what are they going to be? Like, there's really no transportation, or they're not close to any amenities. So, yeah, that's just my take on it.
Okay. Any other comments? I mean, we're not the experts here. I think if they feel that this is an area where they could go and that it could fit there and they can meet the needs of their clients, I'm completely in support. I think it doesn't matter where they choose to put this, whether it's more commercial or industrial or residential, they're gonna get pushback no matter what. It's never gonna be a good place. There's always gonna be opposition, so, I mean, I have no problem with rezoning it, and that's just my only 2 cents there. But we are looking for decision at least to do second or third reading, or not proceed at all, I would think.
Yeah, that's
I
correct.
think you would do
That's correct,
second
Your Worship.
reading, and then if it's defeated, then we know our answer. Okay. Got it. Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I would motion that we give second reading to this rezoning bylaw.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, against? It's carried. Okay, we are looking for third reading as well. Okay. Anybody want to make third reading? I'll move third reading. All in favor? Was your hand up? Okay, that's carried. Or sorry, against, I should call. And it's carried. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next, bank reconciliation for May 2024.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the end of May 2024, our ATB bank balance had $22,549,405. That did include $18,801 for the Frog Lake Tie-in Design Grant, and our ATB 90-day NDA account had a balance of $229,496. We are recommending that Council accept the May 2024 bank reconciliation report as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? I mean, sorry, questions?
Moving right along.
Oh, we're at it today. Any questions for Renee?
No,
Councillor
no
McAvoy?
questions, but I will move
Accepting the report?
acceptance of the May 2024 bank reconciliation report as presented.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. All right, next, the capital financial report, May 2024.
So these are the capital projects up to the end of May 2024, and we ask that Council accept this report as presented.
All right, any questions? Oh, seeing none. Do you have a question? Or
No, just was going to make a motion.
Councillor Blanchett?
I will move that council accept the May 2024 capital financial report as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Next, the operating financial report for May 2024.
As with the capital financial report, these are the operating financials up to the end of May, and we ask that Council accept this report as presented.
Questions? Looking for a motion then to approve. Councillor Sharoon.
I move that we accept the May operating financial report as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, next, policy for events program grants.
Thank you. At the June 18th Governance and Priorities Committee meeting, draft policy number 24FN094, the Events Grant Program Policy, was presented for comments and review. Recommendations from this meeting have been included in this draft of the policy being presented this evening. Funding applications under this program are due at various times depending on the funding level requested. Local and regional event applications must be submitted at least 2 months prior to the event, provincial events at least 4 months prior to the event, and national or international events at least 6 months prior to the event. Once an event has been held for 3 consecutive years, this event would become a signature event, which would be included in the annual budget for council consideration when the application for the new year is received. The policy provides administration the ability to approve funding requests if the amount is less than or equal to the funding levels within the policy, with a list provided to council of all approvals on a monthly basis. If passed, this policy would become effective January 1st, 2025. The only amendment I would add is that Schedule A has been updated to take out the events that are not located in the town of Bonnyville.
All right, thank you. Okay, any feedback, questions, comments on this policy? Councillor Sharoon?
I just have one comment here. The grant reporting, I think that is so beneficial to this whole program. It gives us insight to what happened, how successful the project was, And this is not a new thing. We have to do this for provincial and any kind of federal funding, regardless of whether you're a nonprofit, whoever you're relying on for funding. So thank you to administration. Kudos to you on that one.
Thank you, Councillor Sharoon. Any questions, any other questions? If not, we are looking for approval of the policy. Thank you. Councillor Krishner.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve policy number 24FN-094, the Events Grant Program Policy.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, Community Development Grant Program.
Thank you. As with the previous policy, this one was also presented at the Governance and Priorities Committee meeting, and the recommendations from that meeting have been included in this draft. Funding under this program will provide a grant to social service organizations for activities that help them achieve their core mandate of delivering programs or services that address a societal need concerning human welfare. Funding applications under this program are due by August 31st, where the request is over $5,000. Requests up to $5,000 may be submitted throughout the year. The policy as drafted provides administration the ability to approve funding requests if the amount is less than or equal to $5,000, with a list provided to Council of all approvals on a monthly basis. Funding applications in excess of $5,000 will be forwarded to Council for consideration. Administration is requesting that Council approve policy number 24FN-095, the Community Development Grant Program, and this would be effective as well January 1st, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Questions to administration? All right, we're looking for a decision on this policy, on this program. Please, Councillor Sharoon.
I'll move on policy 24FN-095, Community Development Grant Program.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, policy, legal advice.
Another policy that was presented at the Governance and Priorities Committee meeting was policy number 24AD091. That is the legal advice policy. It includes sections which outlines the process for obtaining legal advice, where in the opinion of the CAO, advice is required to minimize the potential risk of litigation, obtain assistance on interpretation and implication of relevant, new, and/or existing legislation or legal precedent, clarify the town's responsibility to protect the health, safety, and well-being of the town's employees, citizens, residents, the general public, or the protection of property, ensure the best economic outcome for the town, or represent the town in matters proceeding to a hearing or trial. This draft also outlines when the mayor may obtain legal advice, which includes issues pertaining to the employment of the CAO. Administration is recommending that Council approve policy number 24AD091.
Okay, thank you. Again, any questions for administration, comments on this? No? All right, we are once again looking for a motion to approve or not. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make the motion that we approve policy number 24-80-091, legal advice policy.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next we have the Municipal Library financial statements for 2023.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Bonnyville Municipal Library financial statements are presented to the town for information purposes and to aid in reviewing the annual library contribution from the town and MD of Bonnyville for operating and capital budget purposes. The library is required to complete their financial reporting in accordance with the Libraries Act. The statement of revenues and expenditures for the year ending December 31st, 2023 shows that the library closed the year with an excess of revenue over expenditures of $72,242. As this amount does include amortization of $5,231, the actual overall excess of revenue over expenditures was $77,473. Administration is recommending that Council accept the Library Board's financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2023 as presented.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions on Councillor Langridge?
More of a comment, Madam Mayor. I have the luxury of sitting on the library board, and just a shout out to our staff over there. They've done a tremendous job, and I am happy to report that at our last meeting that we have returned to what we call pre-COVID attendance numbers. So we had over 3,300 people came to the library in the month of May, which was the most we've had since before COVID. So doing a great job, and that place is getting used like crazy. So just a shout out to the staff.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Councillor Schroen?
Just a question, Madam Mayor, through administration. Under the revenues, we have fines, $2,808 in 2022 and $1,609 in 2023. I thought we got rid of the fines a few years ago. So is that maybe they just didn't change their header, and that could be for lost books, but I was just curious about the fines.
I will have to bring that back to the library manager, as I'm not sure what that particular revenue item is, but I will definitely ask and get that back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we are looking for a motion to accept the 2023 financial statements as presented. Councillor McAvoy?
Yes, I will move that council accept the library board financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2023 as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, capital projects assistance grant policy.
Thank you. Another policy that was presented at the GMP meeting was the Capital Projects Assistance Grants Policy. This policy will, the town would offer a grant program to eligible organizations to support capital project costs. This grant is intended to provide funding to restore, enhance, or build facilities and improvements, and to enable the purchase of equipment and goods that will improve or maintain the delivery of services by eligible organizations. Administration is asking that council approve policy number 24FN092, the Capital Projects Assistance Grant Policy, and this would also become effective January 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Questions for administration? No? All right. Looking for a motion to approve the policy, please. All right. Councillor Johnson?
I'll make the motion to approve policy number 24-FN-092, Capital Projects Assistant Grant Policy.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, policy on utility servicing deposit refunds.
I think this is the last policy. So at the June 18th Governance and Priorities meeting, policy number 24-PW093, the Utility Servicing Deposit Refunds Policy, was presented. This policy was drafted due to the current number of utility servicing deposits that are older than 10 years, which cannot be refunded as the account holders are unknown or defunct contractors. The policy includes provisions for allowing these unclaimed deposit funds to be transferred to the General Capital Reserve to be used for future capital projects, as well as allowing these deposit funds to be applied to any outstanding debt that may have been owed to the town if one had been incurred by the account holder. Administration is recommending that council approve policy number 24-PW093.
All right, thank you. Any questions for administration? Yes, Councillor Stern?
Just one. Roughly how much money do we have in there? And in the future, is that going to be done, are these credit write-offs going to be done every year when we're doing our bad debt write-offs for year end?
Currently, there is $11,000 from these defunct or unknown contractors. As well, we'll be doing them as part of the year-end process, so when we bring the transfers to and from reserves, you'll see those on that list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, motion to approve the policy, please. Councillor Schroen.
I move that we approve policy 24-PW093, utility servicing deposit refunds.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, attendance to the Agora Francophone Economy Conference.
I can speak to that, Your Worship. I should speak to something this evening. Renee's done all the talking. Mayor Brasso has been a member of the Alberta Bilingual Municipalities Association on behalf of council for some time now, and she's requested to attend their 2024 Agora Francophone Economy Conference being held in Halifax, August 9th and 10th. As this is a new event, it wasn't not actually included in this year's operating budget, so we require approval from council for her to attend. Additional costs are approximately $2,600, and this includes conference registration and accommodations and other costs. And our recommendation is that council approve Mayor Brasso's attendance to this conference, with the funds to come from the council training and mileage and subsistence budgets.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions? Okay, Councillor Blanchette.
I will happily move that council approve Mayor Brasso's attendance at the 2024 Agora Francophone Economy Conference with the funds to come from the council training and mileage and subsistence budgets.
Thank you.
You're
All in
welcome.
favor? Carried. Yeah. Okay, committee reports. I think we're going to start with Councillor Johnson this time. I thought we. Oh.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. June 13th, I attended the Alberta Munis Leadership Caucus here in Bonnyville. It's nice for them to come around and listen to rural Alberta and the issues that we have so they can advocate for us. And then later on that evening, I attended the co-op AGM celebrating 40 years in the community, so hats off to them. They've done an incredible job over the years and how they've expanded and grown. And they're operating today and do not owe any money. They have no debt, so kudos to them. And they return a lot of cash back to their members as well. June 14th, I recorded the morning after at Lakeland Connect and for Madam Mayor. Then I attended a C2 meeting, and then I attended the PME Well Servicing 40th Anniversary Gala. And there again, another community in for 40 years. They do a great job in the area. They've had a lot of ups and downs, and they're going strong. And one thing to note, they have the only female driller working for them in Canada. So they do a heck of a job, so congratulations to them. June 17th, C2 meeting, and then I had an Ohana Center meeting right after. And then on June 18th, the Governance and Priorities and Committee meeting. June 19th, I had a Historical Society meeting as we're getting ready for the Canada Day. June 20th, I attended the FCSS board meeting. June 22nd, I had the honor of attending the BCHS grad. I was going anyways because my daughter graduated, but I got to bring greetings on behalf of Mayor and Council. So thank you, Madam Mayor, for letting me do that. And then yesterday, the 24th, we had a C2 meeting, and that's it for me.
Yeah, thank you. Starting off June 14th, I attended the annual Rainy Day Victim Service Unit Barbecue, as it was pouring rain on us again. But hats off to them. I believe they had a great attendance. On June 18th, the GOP committee. June 24th, yesterday, attended the Regional Tourism Committee. And this afternoon, I, along with some other members of council, went over to the Bonnyville Health Center and checked out what they're planning for their emergency room renovations, which was really neat and well needed in that space. And that's all for me.
On the June 13th, I also attended the Alberta Munis Municipal Leaders Caucus. On the 14th, I attended both the Employee Abilities and the Victim Services barbecues and had a chance to meet with everyone. On Saturday the 15th, I, along with Councillor Blanchette, judged the Lemonade Day stands. Congrats to all the young entrepreneurs. They did a fantastic job again this year. The sun shone for them. And just to let all of the contestants know that everyone was judged. They did things a little bit differently this year, so nobody knew who the judges were. So kudos to all the judges. That was a fun time. On the 19th, followed by the Smart Start closing ceremony. Again, congratulations to all the mature entrepreneurs there, the over 14 ones. Excellent, lots of positive vibes and energy there. On the 20th, I had a BSN meeting. And that is all for me. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So my list is short. A couple C2 meetings on the 17th and the 24th. Also went to the Smart Start wrap-up, and I had BRFA on the 20th. And I just want to say thank you to Councillor Johnson for stepping up. I should have had a couple of busy days, but I had a really sick one at home, so I super, super appreciate stepping up for me. Thank you. Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. June 12th, I signed checks for Lakeland Lodge and Housing, and I finished the last course of the EOEP program, so I have officially completed that certificate through Augustana. Took me long enough, eh? June 13th, I attended the AB Muni Summer Municipal Leaders Caucus. June 14th, I accompanied Deputy Mayor Johnson at PIMI's 40th Anniversary Gala. June 15th, also participated in Lemonade Day with Community Futures as a judge. June 17th, SPCA board meeting. June 18th, the Governance and Priorities Committee meeting. June 19th, along with Madam Mayor, I attended a meeting with Stepping Stones Crisis Society. It was a really good opportunity for relationship building and getting updates on what's going on with them and their project in Cold Lake. And it's always a really good reminder of how we live in our own little bubbles, and many of us have the privilege of not seeing the impactful work that they do. That was followed by a Wellness Coalition meeting and then the closing ceremony for the Smart Start program that evening. June 20th at an FCSS board meeting. June 21st, along with Councillor McAvoy, I attended the National Indigenous Peoples Day celebration, and I had the honor of delivering greetings on behalf of the town there. June 24th, yesterday, an FCSS AA Policy Committee meeting, and I also went over to the Bonnyville Health Center this morning for the overview of the ER renovations. And that's all for me.
Anniversary barbecue, as well as the Victim Services barbecue. And as Councillor Langridge mentioned, the annual rainy Victim Services barbecue. On the 18th, the Governance and Priorities Committee. On the 19th, I attended the Smart Start closing ceremonies at Kinnessoo Ridge for the Smart Start program run by Community Futures. On the 20th, the Bonnyville Regional Fire Authority regular meeting. On the 21st, the National Indigenous Days ceremonies at the C2. And that evening, I attended the Bonnyville Regional Fire Authority Awards Barbecue at Station 2 in Goodridge. And today, along with 3 other councillors, we went over and had a look at the proposed renovations for the ER at Bonnyville Health Center.
All right, so June 13th, I went to the Alberta Munis Leaders Caucus. Shout out to Dan Rude, the CAO, for 7 years and 20 years of service there. He's stepping down as of December 24th, so congratulations to him and thanks for all your hard work. June 17th, we did the LICA Hiring Committee meeting. June 18th, Governance and Priorities. Shout out to administration, all those policies, all those bylaws that we went through tonight and you brought forward from Governance Priorities. Thank you very much. That was a ton of work. June 19th, the Smart Start program. It's 12 people started new businesses through that program. I think that's fantastic. And I would really like to see us go forward with that in the future. June 20th, regular scheduled BRFA meeting. 24th, LICA Hiring Committee meeting again. And then today, along with 3 of the other councillors, we went and saw the ER renos at the Bonnyville Health Center. Looking forward to that. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Excellent, thank you. Gosh, it sounds like we've been busy attending all these things and being present everywhere. I think that's such a great thing that we try to accomplish as a council. It's nice to hear. Yeah. Okay, under correspondence, we received a letter from Municipal Affairs in regards to the Canada Community Building Fund, a letter from MP Shannon Stubbs regarding the carbon tax outreach, And then, as always, Appendix A are council receptions and public relations to June 19th, 2024. Are there any questions for administration at this time? All right, we've got a couple items in camera. If I can get a motion to move into camera, please. Councillor Kushner.